If you think about it, humanity is wired to seek out challenges. Athletes want to test themselves against the best in the world, explorers want to delve into the deepest, darkest, undiscovered places, and just this morning, I chose to take the stairs to the office instead of using the lift, and let me tell you, once I'd stopped breathing into that paper bag, I was pretty darn proud of myself. The bosses we're about to talk about now represent those stairs. They're scattered about the gaming world like mountains ready to be climbed, daring the most intrepid players to try to conquer them. We don't have to defeat them, but we want to, because they're there. Today we've picked out 10 non-compulsory nasties that are especially tough or infamous, so much so that they might have even the most nimble-fingered gamer reaching for that aforementioned paper bag. So, gird those loins and follow me into this distinctly ominous arena-like location that's hidden off the beaten path. Oh no, we're going optional boss hunting. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and here are 10 optional video game bosses who totally destroyed players. Number 10. Rodan, Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3. Throughout Platinum Games' Bayonetta series, there have been a few mainstays. Over-the-top action, flashy combat, unabashed raunchiness, and a selection of deadly weapons crafted by this guy, the exiled angel Rodan. Leaving his former life as a celestial ruler, Rodan started up a bar here on Earth where one can pick up a classy cocktail with a side order of legendary god-slaying weapons. Rodan is an ally throughout the series and often acts as a bit of a straight man to Bayonetta's playful antics. Gluttons for punishment, though, contest their mettle against this deep-voiced charmer in all 3 games and can expect the fight of their lives every single time. The debate is going strong as to which game has the toughest Rodan fight, with some lamenting the first game's lack of a witch time mechanic making for the toughest challenge, others claiming that Bayonetta 2's Rodan fight is the hardest thanks to attacks that are incredibly difficult to predict, and others being traumatized from his encounter in Bayonetta 3 due to his outrageous health bar and relentless onslaught. Whatever your poison though, you're in for a legendarily tough time, and if you're aiming to take him down in all 3 games, well, you're a braver witch than I. Number 9. Sigrun, God of War. In Norse mythology, Valkyries were entities tasked with guiding the souls of slain warriors to Valhalla. In 2018's God of War, the Valkyries have been cursed with madness by Odin, and as such are more interested in guiding players who strayed too far from the beaten path straight to the game over screen. All of the Valkyries' battles in God of War are optional, and all of them are shockingly tough, easily outclassing early game Kratos in both speed and power. Remember, this is the guy that easily beat up Zeus by repeatedly punching him in his big beardy face. As the Valkyrie Queen, Sigrun is at the top of the Valkyrie Mountain and is the ultimate challenge to anyone who wishes to truly conquer the game. Fought in an appropriately epic arena and looking suitably awe-inspiring with her golden armor and splendiferous wings, Sigrun will quickly crush the hopes of anyone looking for a quick fight. And overcoming her teleportation-aided nimbleness, her slashing metallic feathers, and her ability to summon devastating fire and ice attacks is a test only true deities of the DualShock should even attempt to overcome. Valkyrie Queen Sigrun? More like Valkyrie Queen Sig run away fast. Got him. Number 8. Yasmat, Final Fantasy XII. While practically every other boss on this list is designed to eat you up and spit you out in short order, the next entry, Final Fantasy XII's Yasmat, has very little respect for your time. Hell, with most of the other bosses we've spoken about, even if you manage to beat them by the skin of your teeth, you're still looking at about 20 minutes tops. Want to take Yasmat down? Well, let's just say I hope you don't have anything else planned for the day. Throughout the course of the game, players will be invited to go on optional hunts, where powerful monsters are tracked down in the vast world of Ivalice and slayed on behalf of the clans of Rabanasta. The absolute top of the pile when it comes to the subjects of these hunts is Yasmat, who is sitting on a completely absurd HP pool that surpasses the 50 million mark. As such, if you're of a mind to completely dominate Final Fantasy XII, this absolute roadblock, described in-game as the great worm to rule all worms of the world, stands in your way and requires diligent preparation and absolute dedication to even stand a chance. I'd try and worm your way out of it if I was you. Number 7. Melania Blade of Miquella, Elden Ring. The infamous Melania, host of the Scarlet Rot and scourge of Elden Ring players the world over, is legendary for her unparalleled ability to reduce even the most skillful and prepared Tarnish into quivering piles of crushed armor and chopped up meat at the roots of the Halig tree, thanks to an extraordinarily grueling 2-stage boss fight. "Heed my words," she says as the fight begins. "I am Melania, Blade of Mikola, and I have never known defeat." It's quite the boast, and you'll soon find out that she lives up to it, possessing alarming agility, unnatural poise, and devastating attacks that are able to make short work of your HP bar from range. And that's just phase 1. Phase 2 sees the graceful redhead transform into something a little more inhuman, sprouting gigantic, unsettling wings and gaining Scarlet Rot-infused attacks that can inflict the Scarlet Rot status ailment on already beleaguered players, turning an already elite-level boss battle into an absolute nightmare. Hey, you remember that cutscene at the start of the fight where she very slowly attaches her sword arm and puts her helmet on? You should have just run in there and stabbed her in the face before she did that. Live and learn, I suppose. Number 6. Demi-Fiend, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is not one of those comfy JRPGs where a band of bubbly youngsters explore pretty forests in an uplifting coming-of-age tale. No, Shin Megami Tensei 5 tackles bleak themes, has an eerie atmosphere, and features challenging combat even on the easier difficulty levels. It stands to reason then that this latest entry in the long-running series would offer up one of the toughest optional boss battles in recent memory, the Demi-Fiend. Looking like a young, topless chap with Tron lines, the Demi-Fiend originated in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, where he is that game's protagonist. Having survived an apocalyptic event known as the Conception and being reborn as a demon, he returns in Shin Megami Tensei 5 as an optional boss at the end of the Return of the True Demon DLC quest, and quickly developed a reputation for being an absolute nightmare. Using a party of allied demons, just like the player, the Demi-Fiend has access to tons of devastating attacks and abilities and is completely resistant to most types of damage. You'll have to bring your absolute finest rogues gallery of monsters along to battle him, and even then, it's going to be tough. At least you'll get to listen to some cool music while he effortlessly flattens your entire team, though. Number 5. Sans, Undertale. In the dictionary, the meaning of the word sans is simply without, and if you take the route through the legendary indie RPG Undertale that sees you throwing down against the skull-faced Sans, you'll soon learn that not only is he completely sans mercy, but he is sans any chill whatsoever too. In order to face Sans, you'll have to check your morals at the door, as he is the final boss of the so-called genocide route, achieved by killing every monster and boss in the game. Seriously, you'll need to grind those random encounters until there are literally no baddies left in that region and murder every single possible boss as well, laughing in the face of concepts like mercy all the while. Once you've got the desired amount of blood on your hands, Undertale's ultimate challenge unlocks. A fight against the lazy, but secretly extremely powerful skeleton, Sans. Sans takes Undertale's unique battle system in which players must avoid enemy attacks by guiding their heart icon away from incoming obstacles and cranks it up to its conceivable limits, resulting in some kind of unholy marriage between the most extreme bosses in bullet hell shoot-em-ups and guitar heroes through the fire and the flames on expert difficulty. Only those with an A+ in pattern memorization and reflexes need apply. Number 4. The Nameless King, Dark Souls 3. Until the aforementioned Melania stuck her disproportionately long sword in, this fellow was probably the king of optional boss fights. First appearing in Dark Souls 3, where he makes a grandiose entrance on his 4-winged dragon mount, the Nameless King is the ultimate test in the third Dark Souls title, seen as a return to form after the fanbase splitting second game. The first phase of the fight sees players attempting to take down the Nameless King's dragon, a very formidable foe in its own right known as the King of the Storm. This regal beast can control the battlefield with gales from its wings and spew forth great gouts of fire, and all the while the dragon's rider will be balancing precariously on its scaly back, launching devastating spear attacks. Alas, taking down this mighty beast only serves to make the Nameless King angry, and the next phase of the fight sees players desperately trying to avoid his lightning-charged spear attacks while chipping away at his extensive defenses with frantic attacks of their own. He may be the Nameless King, but I'd come up with a few more choice names for him by the time this fight was over, let me tell you. Number 3. Emil Clones, Nier Automata. If you're exploring a desert environment in a game, you might expect to find scorpion-type enemies or a sentient cactus or two, the usual stuff. Nier Automata, being set in a post-apocalyptic world inhabited by strange machines, tends to throw dusty old desert-dwelling robots at you, some with region-appropriate cloaks. A bit unusual, but nothing too surprising. Wait, what's this? A series of gigantic orbs with a bulbous-eyed rictus grinning face etched into them? Okay, that's Unusual. These bizarro versions of the Epcot globe form the ultimate final boss of Nier Automata, a game notorious for its number of endings and the odd hoops you have to jump through to see them. Defeating Emil's clones is the most challenging hoop of them all, as they will fly off in all directions and bombard the player's chosen android with constant projectiles, charge attacks, and eventually an instant kill attack. Additionally, if you want to get every ending, you'll have to win this fight twice, and if you want to completely 100% the game, you'll have to do it with all available characters too, as there's different dialogue depending on which android you're controlling at the time. Can you even call yourself a Nier fan if you haven't beaten the Emil clones with every character? Come on. Number 2. Prince Mush, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Fungus-based foes are weirdly common in video games. From Dragon Quest to Borderlands to The Last of Us, it's really not unusual for intrepid protagonists to have a violent run-in with a mushroom-adjacent enemy of some kind. Probably the toughest of all of these encounters, however, comes from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door's friendly face-off with Prince Mush. Only available in the remake, Prince Mush is the former champion of the Glitz Pit, the wrestling-style arena that Mario and friends have to conquer in Chapter 3. Prince Mush has mysteriously disappeared at the start of this chapter, and it's the player's job to work out what's going on behind the curtain. In the Switch remake of The Thousand-Year Door, Mario can opt to throw down with a rescued Prince Mush in an optional face-off that will have Mario fans' mustaches twirling in surprise, as the mushy menace can easily wipe out your party in one turn and will repeatedly change stances, making him tough to hit. To stand any real chance against this mighty mushroom, players will have to master the difficult and risky Super Guard mechanic, and even then, victory is far from certain. Thinking about it, why don't we just send out this guy to save the princess instead? Number 1. Lingering Will, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. In a recent list about particularly nasty bosses in video games, we gave the enigmatic Yuzora the nod when it came to Kingdom Hearts. Now, it's Lingering Will's time to shine, as this guy is just about equal on the infamy scale. Found in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix and looking like Sauron if he was feeling fancy, Lingering Will is one of a series of Kingdom Hearts super bosses that have been leaving fans' palms aching and brows sweating since the franchise's inception. Despite looking like a heavy knight-type character, Lingering Will is extraordinarily quick, flying about the arena at dizzying speeds and often being accompanied by crystalline drones that blast Sora and friends from all directions. Mastery of the battle requires players to be a guru of combo attacks, but to also be constantly on the lookout for the boss's devastating counters, and they can expect a marathon battle where constant concentration and vigilance is required. If you're wondering what Lingering Will actually is, apparently it's a manifestation of the thoughts and desires of the Keyblade wielder Terra, but I won't go into it any more than that. The only thing harder than the Kingdom Hearts series optional bosses is trying to work out its lore, after all.